Now, what do you think that you can improve on the school district's educating mission in educating our young people in the town of Swansea here?
I would like to look at long-range vision, mission statements, long-range planning, policy formation and strategy. I'd like to see that we could coordinate that from the bottom up through the top, and coordinate that also with the town representatives and the parents and the citizens of the town, so that everybody's on the same page in light of that change I just alluded to, that we're striving, and not just striving, but achieving the best we can. It would be wonderful if young people came into the schools excited to be there, not dying to get out.
And you don't see that much often now. That I mean, once when I was in high school, it was like, you know, good to get in ninth grade. All of a sudden you're in 10th. All of a sudden you're a senior and you want to get out. And you look back on it and it's like, what did you learn? And you learned so much, but yet your mind was focused just to get out of there and get into the workforce or get into college.
That's a natural drive, and it would seem to me that a great teaching would be able to put a little bit of brakes on that and say, let's take a breath and let's look at the Odyssey. Let's take a breath and let's look at Julius Caesar. Let's take a breath and look at human development. You know, that slows that desire, that crush to get out, to achieve, you know, to give it a chance to blossom. But I understand what you're saying. I think you're saying that it's not just you're eager to get out. You understand that when you're a freshman, the eyes are bright and innocent, and then all of a sudden you realize there's a grind here. Yeah, I'd like to help remove that grind a little bit, if that's possible.
I think what would help too is if you have a teacher that, you know, teachers only teach a certain subject, but if they made the classroom a bit more friendlier, bringing in like real life situations, like, you know, you see a lot of young women becoming pregnant now in young years, like 9th grade, 10th grade. You know, there's 2 or 3 girls in your graduating class that are pregnant. I think if you kind of brought that into the classroom too, that would kind of help the student become more well-rounded and want to be there, because they maybe not at home, they're not getting that attention, not the attention per se, but a pat on the back, you know, talking them through, you know, why you did what you did, and just someone in another environment that actually could help them with maybe a real-life problem.
I think that the home is the most important place a young person is being raised. The school is an ancillary part of that, yet it's a very, very important part. If all the faculty and the administration and the support staff, even the custodians, the bus drivers, and the cafeteria personnel, have a certain, if it's instilled in the culture that this is a warm place to be, when people come through the door, they're greeted, "Hi, how are you? What can we do for you today? Do you need anything?" And then that constant reaffirmation. Paul Prudhomme is a chef in Louisiana, in New Orleans, and he has a Cajun word that he uses. It's called lagniappe, and it means abundance. When you come into his kitchen or his home, "How are you?" It's not overly effusive. It's not false. It's sincere. They can't give you enough. You know, they make you feel at home. They make you feel welcome. I think that's very important for those soon-to-be moms. If you have a culture where all the teachers from the various disciplines are working in concert in that kind of abundance spirit, then that's going to make that place, that life between 7, or starts in the high school at 7:15 to when it closes, it's going to make that place a nicer place. It's going to be almost like a refuge.
You're right. And what I was wondering now is, what do you bring to the district as a person running for a school committee that maybe one of your opponents running for the same position does not bring to the table of the district?
What I bring to the district and what I bring to this campaign is approximately 37 years of intense experience in education at all levels of education. I've waited for this amount of time, harking back to your former question you asked. I've waited this length of time so that I would feel comfortable in such a situation as this to respond to you from an honest perspective, that I'm not here just to be a school committee member. I'm here to provide service. The service I wish to provide is based on all of that experience. But it all comes down to the individual student, the individual young person, or the learner, that we enter a shared mutual enterprise. Alfred North Whitehead is a phenomenal philosopher, and in the 1920s he gave a series of lectures called The Aims of Education. And he ticked off reasons why people should be educated. Okay? He was a logician, so he knew how to give emphatic order. He gave the weakest point first, and then he goes up to the strongest point. So, for example, he says, we could have teachers here for collegiality, because being at a school gives them the opportunity to talk to one another. But they could do that elsewhere. That's not what a school is for. Teachers can come together to do research at a school, but they could do research somewhere else. His last point is what I'm trying to drive at. It's an opportunity to have older minds and younger minds get together and ignite. So he talks in his understanding of teaching and learning, you've got to have at least 3 things cycling in like a spiral or a gyre. One is passion, okay, which is what I'm talking about. Okay, the second is discipline. What he means by discipline is not necessarily you better behave or I'm going to spank you. Not that kind of discipline. It's a discipline for the joy of learning. It's like a video game that you really like. You sit down in front and 5 hours go by and you didn't realize that you're there and you're up on the 10th or 12th level. Okay, that kind of discipline. And then the third is generalization, that you're able to take the knowledge that you're acquiring and you can apply it to different areas. That's what I'm hoping to bring. That's what I don't think the competition has. I have that, and it's in the school situation.